This is Live Bet Saturday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Tough moment for the Chicago Cubs outfield right now. So we have, let's see, I want to get exactly who this is that was up right now. But Brown is on the hill, and bases loaded, no outs for the Philadelphia Phillies. And it is Kepler at the plate, who it seems just hits a shallow pop-up out to left, Will, but the outfielders don't know what to do with it. And whoever's in left field today, I believe it's Happ, decides, no, that's gonna drop foul, and it doesn't. So Schwarber gets to come in. It is 1-0 Philly up on top. Bases are loaded at the top of the fourth inning, so Cubs might come to rue that. Should also rue the fact that Jackson Chourio has tied this game up in the ninth inning against the St. Louis Cardinals. That was a 5-3 game. St. Louis up on top, but a 2-run shot for Chourio, and the Brewers has this knotted up at 5 apiece. Updated numbers for both of those games here, and then I want your very smart intellect on all of this. I think it's redundant to say smart intellect. 5-5 between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Milwaukee Brewers. -165 in favor of the Cardinals, +130 coming back on Milwaukee. Total 11.5. Look, 10 runs scored in a game that looks like it might go to extras. We'll see if that actually happens, but that seems somewhat cheap considering we have some extras in front of us with that ghost runner. And then 2-0, Phillies up on top. I'll give you an updated number there as they play another. What do you make of what's going to have of either of those two games? You were surprised that Chourio hit the 2-run shot.
Yeah, did he get it off Helsley too? Because I got the split screen with all these games on at the same time. As Philly adds another run, I think the bases are still going to be loaded. And yeah, the play you were referring to with the pop-up dropping up, that was one of those situations. You got it, I got it, nobody got it, and then it falls not harmlessly, but it falls for a base hit. And that was one. Even if it's foul, you want to catch the ball. Like that was very catchable. So strange play. But yeah, impressive by Chourio to homer. I think off Helsley, who's really good.
It was off Helsley.
Those are struggling. Yeah, Clase, Helsley gives one up. Williams for the Yankees is basically, I think, turned into unusable. I know it's only a month in, but he's been awful. You wonder if I always think kickers are a lot like closers, where you blow one, especially in the playoffs, to cost your team a game. I've seen kickers ruin their careers over it. I've seen closers ruin their careers where they're just never the same after. Mark Wohlers, Donnie Moore, kickers, Mike Vanderjagt, Blair Walsh, both of our guys. When you miss kicks in the playoffs to cost your team a playoff game, those guys' careers were over shortly after. It's such a psychological position that I worried a little bit about that with Williams coming into the season. He's been bad. So Helsley's been bad. Clase, Williams for the Yankees. There's been some closing issues, but no. As far as these games here, 5-5 looks like we're going bottom 9. Milwaukee, St. Louis, Mets, Nats still in a delay. The Rockies are losing, which you could just copy and paste that sound and keep that for the rest of the year, because that is a terrible team. I don't know how you make their over-under low enough that this Rockies bunch. Boy, they are really, really bad. So, I don't know. Anything jump out to you? How many games do you think the Rockies win? I'll put you on the spot here. What's a fair over-under for them at the JVT Sportsbook?
11.
That's about right.
I mean, in all seriousness, teams are never really as bad as we expect them to be. This Rockies team is pretty bad, though. If I were to hang up 58.5, what would you bet?
Oh, under.
Yeah, really? That far under, huh?
Yeah. I mean, look at that division. The Giants, the Dodgers, Padres, they're going to get killed. They're really, really bad. I don't know if you can build a legitimate team sustainably in that building, just because it's so different. Like, the breaking ball breaks differently. Pitchers, it's hard to – it's almost like you need two different teams. It's really hard to win there. But they are really bad. They are seemingly bad every year. But no,
so we're thinking
they look like clearly the worst team, don't they?
You think we're going to push for 120 losses? By the way, another goal for Minnesota underway right now in the second period, about 90 seconds in, and the Wild have taken a 2-1 lead over the Vegas Golden Knights. Wow. A big one there. Knights were pretty strong favorites in this series, very strong favorites today, and they trailed 2-1 in the second, 18:36 left to go. We'll give you the update, but so what do you think? They push for 120 losses, something like that?
50 and 112 sounds about right to me. I don't know.
Okay, all right. Not too far off. I believe. But I agree with your premise. The National League doesn't look like it's going anywhere. The National League West looks like it's not going anywhere anytime soon, despite some questions about the San Francisco Giants and others. All right, so real quick, heads are spinning because there's a lot going on. A sack fly for Philly. They are up 3-1, top of the fourth. So some first five wagers, obviously those who are sweating that out, feeling a little antsy.
3-0, I think, right? 3-0?
Yeah, I just said that. 3-0,
okay.
Pop-out fly.
Okay.
They got runners on the corners right now in the top of the fourth inning there. As we said, Minnesota up 2-1, 18:36 2:36 left to go in the second. We are also underway again in our other playoff game that is in the association, and the OKC Thunder coming out firing. For those who don't remember, did lay 10.5 here at halftime with OKC. They are up 69-61 at a break here. So let's get some updated numbers really quickly, and I want to hit on some news coming out of the NBA that is pretty impactful. First off, with this hockey game right now, Minnesota Wild, a 2-1 lead. They are $2 favorites now. Plus 155 coming back on the Golden Knights. Total 7.5. Shaded to the under at minus 200 over at BetMGM. Baseball, as we look at some of these games, we're keeping track of the Phillies and Cubs. Phillies now a $12 favorite. Now that got cut down as I'm watching it. Plus 650 coming back on the Cubs. And then for the association, really quickly, Thunder back up to the pre-flop number, 14.5 point spread with a total of 225.5. Will, I mentioned some news. We do have in less than an hour tip-off between the Los Angeles Clippers and the Denver Nuggets. Nuggets, at least one injury, did not go their way. Russell Westbrook officially out for the game today for the Nuggets. Now, no movement because that, I think, was factored in. You're looking at both of these injuries kind of factored in here. I think the more impactful one might be Porter, and that's obviously that's now multiple injuries, right? Those are cluster injuries. If Porter gets ruled out as well, we'll probably see this get to 7 consensus. Right now, it's still holding strong at 6.5, but all the offshore shops are up to 7 right now in favor of the Clippers.
Wow, with Westbrook out, I thought maybe the line would come down a little bit for the Nuggets. I might bet the Nuggets with Westbrook out.
I mean, he's been fine. He's been okay. Like, look, you said it, man. He's the reason why they're not down 3-0 in this series. He hits that corner three, and that changes everything for him in game one, in the game which the Clippers blew. And look, I've said this too. You play that defensive possession that way 100 times out of 100, you're going to win that game, right? A vast majority of the time. But he is one of the sole reasons why they are sitting there with a win in the win column and only down 2-1 as opposed to 3-0.
Yeah, I'm starting to get the sense that might be the only win Denver gets in the series, and part of it's tongue-in-cheek, trying to not trying to just pencil your team in the next round, but I'd be surprised if we're not sitting here a week from now. Well, I'll be sitting here a week from now. I'm not sure what you're going to be doing. You're on to bigger and better things, obviously. You're ditching me. A Clippers-Thunder second-round series is so good for so many reasons.
Oh, we deserve it.
All of the talent, all of the matchups. This is basically an NBA Finals caliber series that we're getting in the second round. It is so overqualified for a second-rounder. Plus, you have all the subplots of the trade that went from, the Clippers giving up all that stuff and SGA, and can the Clippers salvage that trade to some extent where, look, you still, you gave up a lot. You gave up SGA, and Paul George was obviously, that era was not a success, but that did bring Kawhi with it, and just all of that, all of those little subplots, plus the actual basketball on the court. If the Clippers could ever pull it off and win that series, and if they did, I think the winner of that series, regardless, is going to the finals. It's just, man, it's such a fantastic series. What's a series price on that look like if we get there?
I would expect, especially with the Clippers, it obviously depends on the way the series ends. Like, if the Clippers need 7 games or whatever it is, like the Nuggets claw their way back into it, we're talking, I would say Thunder are going to float around like $1.85 favorite. Like, I don't think it'll touch $2, though, even if this series gets extended out. And the Clippers, I mean, if they win in 5, I mean, I think you're going to talk about, like, throw up whatever the series price is between two teams that are rated near equals to each other, right? With the Thunder getting a slight advantage because of home court, $1.45, whatever it is. But my guess would be $1.45 to $1.85, depending on the results of these series, in favor of OKC. Does that sound fair?
I think it would open up around $2, maybe even a little bit north, but then come down similar to Clippers Nuggets, how that came down. So I think it'll open high. But remember, OKC was odds on to win the West.
Of course.
I mean, for a long time. So that's saying they're head and shoulders above these other teams, and now they have more. I know the Clippers have played well. So
this power rating on the Clippers is growing in a really big way. Yeah,
I know, and justifiably. By the way, OKC is pulling away here, up 8 with 8 minutes to go in the third quarter. Looks like Pippen Jr.'s headed to the line. So any hope of a miracle comeback here for the Grizzlies in terms of getting back in this, not getting back in the series, but even forcing a game 5, down 7. You wonder at some point if they get down double digits. This is the tricky part of betting these series when it's 3-0 and you're betting game 4. Do they let go of the rope at some point and OKC just runs away with this thing? So it looks like you got a pretty good bet here, laying your 10.5.
Yep, both free throws good, and it is 69-63, 8 minutes left to go. And we should note that the Phillies are now pouring it on here. It's what happens, man. A little snowball becomes an avalanche. You let that ball drop, And all of a sudden, this thing just will not end. And you mentioned it. So we're referencing when the bases were loaded with no outs. For some reason, Ian Happ in the outfield not the outfield, just the left side of the field there for Chicago. It seemed like Ian Happ allowed the ball to drop. Like you said, I don't know why, because even if you think it's foul, that's an out. Regardless, though, that has led to an avalanche here for the Philadelphia Phillies. So a scoreless game entering the fourth is now 6-0 Philadelphia on top with 2 outs now after, I believe, the sac fly from Bryce Harper. So runner on second, 2 outs, Philly up 6-0 right now in that one. Let's see, a couple of other score updates as we're monitoring these. Will and I sweating out the bottom of the fourth, Texas, San Francisco. We both have a first 5 play on Texas in some way or shape. You have Texas plus the half run. I have Texas money line, up 2-0 right now, bottom of the fourth inning. San Francisco up to bat there. And I believe are we in extras, or is this game over between Milwaukee and St. Louis? Did St. Louis walk it off? Oh, they walked it off in the bottom of the
ninth. They took it off my little quad box here, so I think St. Louis walked it off.
Yes, they did. St. Louis Cardinals walk it off there in the bottom of the 9th inning. Nolan Arenado with a walk-off solo shot to end this thing. Cardinals get the win 6-5 at home over the Milwaukee Brewers.
Graham Mertz has just been drafted by the Texans. Are we just picking random players now? What are we doing? Graham Mertz?
Edge Boost, the first ever bank account built for bettors. I will not slander Graham Mertz. Ensuring all gambling transactions are approved. No usage fees, no minimums. Earn cashback rewards, 100% approval for all betting deposits. Sign up today. EdgeBoost.bet, promo code LIVE. Deposit $25 and Edge Boost will match the deposit. That is EdgeBoost.bet. Did you see all the cow heads that was in Quinn Ewer's living room? It was crazy.
I did.
This is Live Bet Saturday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Three outs to the promised land for us. Texas Rangers get out of the bottom of the fourth. Blemish free. It is 2-0, top of the 5th inning. San Francisco Giants trail there. The 4th inning, at least the top of it, ends mercifully for the Chicago Cubs. A 6-run avalanche for the Philadelphia Phillies there. So if you're so inclined to look at some of these in-game prices right now, Phillies, can I borrow $10,000, Will?
Sure.
All right, cool. All right, I'm gonna throw that on the Phillies to win $100 because that is their money line price right now. $16.50 coming back on the Chicago Cubs. 10.5.
It's a nice straddle. It's a nice straddle, right? Minus 10,000, 16 to 1 come the other way.
I mean, you got to look at it in terms of the percentages, not so much the payout, right? Bookmakers will tell you, well, in terms of the hold, it's actually the right straddle.
Okay.
Right. Although that one might be a little strong in game there. The other games that we're monitoring, we talked about this. I threw it out as like a thought, whether or not this could be something. Did not bet it, but the Athletics did get to put something on the board. 6-1, 5th inning now, so they trail by 5. My thought was maybe taking 4.5, about minus 120, asking them to stay inside of that run line there. They at least tack one on. White Sox, though, a $9 favorite, plus 550 coming back on the Athletics. We're also still suspended with Mets and Nationals, so that game underway and obviously suspended due to weather, so we will see if that gets back on the field. I wanted to ask you this.
I was going to say quickly on that early delay. That's very unusual. You usually don't see a bottom of the first rain delay. You usually, with the technology they have now, if they expect rain that early, they're just not going to start the game on time. So I didn't see at what point in the first they started. But did the Mets throw a pitch yet? Did that pitcher warm up? Can he go back if it continues?
We're in the bottom of the
bets if they're.
Yeah, we're in the bottom of the first. So at least they got to the top half of the inning.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the Mets guy threw a pitch though, because that brings into question. Hey, if I bet, the Mets pitcher under strikeouts and the game resumes and he doesn't, does he have to throw a pitch? Does his name have to be, does he have to submit the lineup card?
He's actually a third of the way through the inning. So he's given up.
So he got an out, threw a pitch.
Yep, he's thrown 12 pitches. He has actually given up a hit as well. So in theory, we're delayed. The Washington Nationals do have one out with a runner on first.
That might, we're getting towards like an hour delay. I don't know if we come back here and can resume play. Do you bring them back out there? It's getting dicey. You're getting to the point where usually anything over like 45 minutes, they're very careful with these pitchers now. So that would be one where, man, check the weather if you're betting these pitcher props. And, I like his over strikeouts. Well, make sure you're not going to have a rain delay in the first or second inning or something like that. So that's one to keep an eye on in terms of the props. That might be a bad beat if you had the over, and one where you could steal some stuff if you had the under outs, under strikeouts, under hits, whatever. If you had an inkling that rain was coming, you could find a nice one really on both pitchers, because I don't know, after an hour delay, I'm not sure if we're going to see both pitchers again. It hasn't quite been that yet. So, but you're kind of running out of time here before we see these pitchers return.
I did want to ask you this, as this team is right now in this delay, but the Mets, before yesterday, had won 7 straight games and did sweep a series from the Philadelphia Phillies. What have we made of what we've seen from the Mets in the early going in this run that they're on that has them at about, 18-8 right now? You talked about big picture problems for some of these teams. Are we buying what we're seeing from the Mets? Because part of this run that they have been on has also included 2 series with the Miami Marlins, the Minnesota Twins. Actually, they lost that series, the Cardinals. They did sweep the Phillies, but the schedule hasn't been that tough for them.
I think they're good. I think they're really good. I think that, they're 18-7 going into yesterday, so 18-8.
Yep.
Soto hasn't even hit yet. They've got Sean Manaea, who's their second best pitcher, coming back. With Cohen, they're going to add guys at the deadline. The Phillies, it seems like possibly that window is closed. Atlanta's playing well, but they've dug themselves a hole. I actually think Mets in the -120, -125 range to win a division. I know it's odds on, and there's a lot of time to go. That might be one where you look in a couple months and say, man, I wish I grabbed the -125, because I think the Mets, look, once you get to the playoffs, who knows? Everyone's 0-0. And you're no lock to even get a bye with how good the National League is. You got to get one of these top 2 seeds. Otherwise, you're in that best-of-3 scenario, which they benefited from last year. Those are such a crapshoot. But as far as the regular season, to me, this looks like, high 90s win team, a division champion. I think Soto eventually is going to hit, especially as the weather gets warmer. I think they're really, really good. I understand you could poke holes a little bit and say, the schedule hasn't been there, but Alonso's mashing the ball. You got Lindor, Soto, Alonso, and some of the other complimentary guys. That's a really, really good lineup.
Yeah, to me, it was the factor that you're talking about here. The fact that Soto really has not been Soto, and you're here doing what you're doing, has been pretty impressive so far. If you were listening anywhere, watching, you heard a roar on my end. VGK with a pretty big opportunity that goes to the wayside. A strong save for Minnesota, but puck on the rebound is just out in the crease with nobody around. VGK gets to it. They got an easy goal, but instead Minnesota knocks it away. I think we have an icing call right now, but either way, Minnesota's still up 2-1, despite the fact that shots on goal, Vegas really having a sizable edge here, 17-10. So I believe they're monitoring whether or not this is an icing call or whatever it is. I don't know. My intricacy when it comes to rules is not the strongest, so we'll see what exactly the rule is here. But again, Minnesota 2-1, despite trailing in terms of shots on goal. 12:24 left to go in the second. Sizable favorites there. All right, Will, we head to the bottom of the 5th. How we feeling? Texas Rangers up 2-0 over San Francisco. You got the game on, right? You can see it?
Got it on. We're going to the 5th. Wyatt Langford looks like just struck out on a changeup from Robbie Ray. So 2-0 heading to the bottom of the 5th. We are 3 outs away from cashing a ticket. And if you got that half a run and you laid the extra juice, only a three or more spot beats you here. So you're in really good shape. So never over till it's over, but got to feel pretty good here if you got Texas in the first 5. A game the market really, really liked San Francisco. And I understand that Texas has used a bunch of guys in their bullpen the last couple nights. So it's going to be maybe dicier for them to hang on to this lead. And maybe they have to push Molly deep into this game, try to get 6, maybe even 7 out of them. But the Rangers, in terms of the first 5, very, very good shape here as we need 3 outs.
We are 40 minutes away, a little bit less than that, from Clippers and Nuggets. We finally have the last bit of information on the injuries for Denver. Michael Porter Jr. is available to play. He will be out there tonight for the Denver Nuggets. We're starting to see those offshore shops, which were as high as 7, now back down to 6.5 at a couple of places. Still plenty of 7s out there if you're shopping offshore that you can go and grab. But Michael Porter Jr. will be available. Does that change anything for you? Chris Haynes, not Chris Haynes. Mark Spears the other day had a pretty interesting tweet and report, which was essentially, if Porter Jr. told him, if I feel like this again, I am definitely not feeling like I can contribute, and I'm paraphrasing to that. So that shoulder clearly bothered him the other day, and you do have to wonder if just with one day off, how much better that feels for him.
What's the prop fallout here, the domino effect with
right
the
now.
props? Because you've been watching the series very keenly, as I have too, although I didn't watch, with the draft going on in the blowout, I didn't watch every play.
Dude, that day,
like
can I say,
first 2 games.
I'm going to interject really quickly. That was a day where, as much as we enjoy sports, that was one where I was like, bro, can we calm down here a little bit?
I agree.
We had 3 NBA games on that day. We had
2 really good series, too.
Yes.
Two games you're really looking forward to.
2 games you're really looking forward to, and another where there was a historic comeback happening with the Oklahoma City Thunder against the Memphis Grizzlies. We had multiple playoff hockey games, obviously baseball, the NFL draft. Like, I sat there, and it was one of those days where I paid attention to everything, and I felt like I paid attention to nothing at the same time.
I agree. I wonder if it would get to the point. It hasn't yet, so maybe it won't. And I don't know how I'd feel about this because the way I am, if they change it, like, I missed it the old way because it was such a good night. I wonder if they'd ever get to a point where the NBA just kind of sits it out and says, you know what, it's the NFL drafts night. Let's not go head to head. We can afford to take a night off, and we'll kind of punt on the night of the draft. The first night, they're not going to worry about the second and third day. Do you think that would ever come? Would that make sense?
Maybe not. I don't know. I think you're probably going to try to just keep it going because you set the schedule back a day just for the NFL draft. Who knows?
Yeah.
The NBA has shown a bit of stubbornness. And look, I mean, they do maybe feel a little bit better. I don't know if you saw the story about the ratings, but like there was a most watched opening weekend of the postseason in like a while.
Sure.
So they're probably feeling somewhat good about this thing. Do want to note big scoring opportunity here potentially coming. VGK on another power play. We're about 40 seconds in. So the Knights try to tie this game up. They are down 2-1 and on their third power play of the game so far. Scored on the first one, did nothing on the second. We'll see if third time's a charm or they can find Pater once more. You mentioned player props. Michael Porter Jr., 10.5 shaded to the under at -125 in terms of overall points. Player threes for Michael Porter Jr., 1.5. I would say, I think the way that you attack this, to be honest with you, I think you go under, maybe I'm getting too cute here, so you tell me or not. I think you go under rebounds because if your shoulder's bothering you, I don't think you're going up with both arms to grab a rebound in a contested one at that. If you're Porter, you're probably fighting through the pain to put up a couple of shots. But in terms of actually fighting for a contested rebound, I think you're leaning under rebounds with Porter Jr. if we're assuming he is still feeling the effects of this shoulder injury.
What about a couple things? If anything was going to go over assists, because maybe he's just more deferential and the one thing he could do is pass.
Sure.
But I don't know. If you're getting a fair payout, parlaying the points, assists, and rebounds all under with the hope that he starts the game and he's just not 100% and the minutes aren't there, that maybe you can cash all of them. I did that with Pajemski the other night where there was a report he was sick. Who knows if he plays? So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to parlay all of his unders in case he starts, can't really go. He ended up with 0-0-0 in like 10, 12 minutes, whatever it was. So if it's an injured player and you can get a fair price on the correlation here, despite the correlation, I might just look at all the unders. Although assist could be dicey.
The bubble guts really bothering Brandon Pajemski the other day was
yes,
somewhat rough. All right, 10 seconds left to go. I will let you guess whether or not the Knights did anything on this power play. The answer is no. We come back. We continue to look at the updated numbers for everything going on. We also have some baseball games getting started in the next 30 or 40 minutes. Don't go anywhere. It is live that Saturday.
This is Live Bet Saturday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Will, what is your strategy? We were talking about this earlier. When it comes to rain delays, would it apply to what's going on between Chicago and Sacramento right now? Because it is going down hard in Sacramento.
No, just because you're already in the 6th inning. So my strategy is ideally before the game. Kevin Roth is a great follow on Twitter, as it looks like San Francisco has tied the game on a base hit, 1 out in the 5th. So, geez, that's a tough one. Find a game where there is expected rain, but expected rain early, 2nd, 3rd, 4th inning, where delay happens, and ideally an extended delay where the pitchers start, but they only throw 2-3 innings, 40, 50 pitches. Then you get your extended delay, and they aren't able to come back onto the mound. And you can cash some under, strikeouts, hits, whatever it is. You can get some wins that way. And you can parlay both pitchers in a lot of these books. And parlays are not always the way to go. But when there's correlation, parlays are just fine to make. So those are ones to look at. But when you're already in the 6th inning, like the A's through Springs, the White Sox use an opener for the 2nd straight day with
Cannon,
who's the lefty here, Gilbert. So, okay. Cannon came in. So there's really no way to attack it once you're deep into this game. So. But keep an eye on the weather is very important for those things, especially even if you're not looking to parlay the outs. You want to know, hey, I like this guy over strikeouts. Well, it's going to rate in the 3rd or 4th inning. That makes it very dicey to attack it from that perspective. So we got to sweat out this Texas one now. Geez,
no,
it's never easy, is it?
I mean, I had a Texas Rangers money line. Come on now, these guys. I'm also go ahead.
that's a bad feeling when you have a team in the first 5, the road team in the first 5 on the money line, and you have to sit there and sweat out a push where you cannot win the bet, and you have to, when you're only your loss or only, that's not a fun sweat.
No, it is not. So come on now, let's get this done here, Texas. At least get out. And we can get our money back. Power play for Minnesota, not really going anywhere, although they're being a little bit more aggressive than Vegas. 13 seconds left. They lead 2-1, 7:13 left to go in the second period. Some updated numbers for you here on this. The total's been of interest. We saw this get as high as 7.5. We're now down to 5.5. Shaded to the over -140 with the Wild up 2-1. This power play is going to end with no damage done here. So it is still a 2-1 lead with about 6:45 left to go in the second period. But they are 225 favorites on the money line, +180 coming back on the Vegas Golden Knights, trailing only by 1 goal. So I get they're at home, but it's only a 1-goal deficit. We'll be curious to see as this continues to climb if there's going to be an opportunity where the Vegas Golden Knights become enticing for some. But do have VGK to win the series. I bet I made before this game began. So would very much like the Knights to get this done. All right, with that, other baseball games, let's hit on the ones that are about to start here in the next 30, because we'll have some pretty deep divey stuff on what's going to happen again in our playoff game set to begin. We should also note that we are back underway between Mets and Nationals. So we are waiting for that game, whether or not it's going to get started, and I think we are now in the second inning. So we have resumed play there between Washington and New York. But Will, Walker Buehler gets the start against the Cleveland Guardians here. The second of a doubleheader today between these two. Did you see anything here? $1.20 price tag in favor of the Boston Red Sox. Red Sox starting to turn into the team I think many expected them to be. Bregman has been a pretty good, solid addition for them, as many expected him to be. They have lost 3 straight, but it looked like they were starting to turn things around for the positive. But now sitting at 500. Anything here in the road spot doubleheader against Cleveland?
Yeah, I didn't play anything here, and I think you said it well, where this is a team that everybody was on, or a lot of people were on, and a lot of sharp bettors too. It's not like this was just kind of a square play. A lot of people are on this team. Only 14-14. It's a really mediocre American League, as we talked about, and it's a bad 14-14 too, because they've played 7 games against the White Sox. So that's one where, boy, you played a pretty soft schedule, 7 games against the White Sox. You figure you bank 5, maybe 6 wins, and you can build yourself a cushion up to only be 500. I know it's early, but a disappointing start here for the Red Sox. I haven't played anything in this game. Is there anything you're looking at?
No, I mean, I think to your point of what we're talking about here, I'd be curious to see what Buehler brings to the table. Some of the underlying metrics to Buehler would paint a little bit more of a positive picture, not like by a massive amount, but a 382 expected fielding, or excuse me, a 345 expected fielding independent, 382 expected ERA. Not too far off from where he's at right now, but it just paints a slightly better picture than what they've gotten from him. But he has he's looked better this year than he did last year, and I know a lot of people are kind of selling on it. And if he starts to even out, they've got a pretty good guy. Not anything, though, that's worth jumping on. I like to find these guys that have these big differentials, ERA, fielding independent, and really pounce on those guys to see if there's any bit of value, or maybe that the market's not accounting for. But Buehler doesn't really have a lot of good indicators through 5 starts. That's the case. So didn't really have anything. Be curious to see if they can get off this schneid, but that's really about it when it came to this. Just what Buehler's performance is going to be here today against the Guardians.
Yeah, that makes sense. As we're trying to get this final out. Then we got 2 outs here. Bottom of the 5th, Texas, San Francisco.
Come on.
As we're trying to get through the 5th here. You want the push. I want to win with my hook here. These half runs, if you can find cheap prices where you only have to lay $1.30, $1.40, getting the half run in the first 5 is so valuable. How many times do you see it where it's 2-2 after 5, something like that? So that's one I've started to play, and honestly I need to start playing it more, because I think these are solid, underrated bets. Especially if you've got 2 good pitchers, you got a low total. Getting the half run is extremely valuable in the first 5.
Yes, absolutely. There's been many a first 5 bet that I have won on a half run. So
it's a good feeling too.
Yes, it is you feel like you got away with one for the most part.
Yes.
All right, as you keep an eye on that, real quick, want to get your thoughts on one more as well. Orioles taking on the Tigers here today. Right now, current number, we'll try to find it here in favor of Baltimore, because this one's going to get started at 310 as well. But Tigers right now, like a pick, -110, -105. Total is 9, depending where you look. Orioles will roll with an opener. Keegan Aiken will get the start. He will not be out there for long. And then on the other side, you're going to get Montero getting the start for the Tigers. Through 2 starts, 9 in the third, Montero has been getting wrecked. Walks are an issue. He's got a 7.71 ERA, fielding independence at 8.17. One would think that it's not going to be a long outing for Montero and not a successful one at that. Haven't seen anything positive from him. Think the Orioles can get to him here in a near-pick money line price. Would lean a little bit toward Baltimore, which seems pretty cheap given what we've seen from Montero, but nothing strong for me.
Yeah, I would look towards an over just because, like you said, Montero's numbers are awful. The Orioles, it doesn't matter who they throw. They have no pitching. It feels like the bloom has come off the rose for this team a little bit where, it's not that long ago where, man, the Orioles are set almost like OKC-like where they're so good. They're so young. They've got so many prospects. They're headed for great things. Well, they got swept in the playoffs 2 years ago. They got swept again this year. And all of their pitching injuries make it a situation where, man, I don't even know. I think they're an underdog to even make the playoffs with the 6 teams making it. They got no pitching. Charlie Morton is shot. They throw these guys at the mound every day with just, boy, you hold your breath that you can get 5 innings, 3 runs, and just turn it over to the bullpen. So it'd be over nothing. I still like their lineup. I don't think they have much pitching. I didn't see who they had for a bulk guy. That's what made this game hard to handicap. So it'll be, like you said, the lefty going for the opener. What do we have for a bulk
So
guy?
they've got, they have, ESPN has Morton listed, but I've got an opener or 2 other screens here.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Yeah, so I don't know who's going to come in after Aiken at this point right now, but Aiken is going to get the start. He's going to open the game for sure.
So maybe they go Morton for bulk, and Morton's been bad. Morton's been really, really bad.
What are you talking about? 10.89 ERA is not terrible.
He's had a good career, but it might be over for Charlie.
I would agree. All right, really quick. Also, NBA postseason. Grizzlies not going away. Don't know if the Thunder are going to have anything here to get me home. Laid 10.5. They're up by 5, 92-87. We've got 9.5 minutes left to go in the fourth. We have seen teams late in fourth quarters end up giving up the ghost. We saw that from Miami in the first game against Cleveland. Maybe that'll be the case here, but did lay 10.5. Would like this thing to end. And on the other end in baseball, Cubs doing their best to get back into this thing. Bases loaded. They finally get a knock against Luzardo. It is 6-2, bottom of the 5th right now out there in Chicago. So let me double check to see what this number is right now. But, oh, hey, we got out of it, huh? Top of the 6th inning. San Francisco, Texas, 2-2. You get the win, I get the push.
Yes, there was, I don't know if it was a caught stealing or it was as the Grizzlies get a roll here on a 3. Pippen Jr. gets a friendly shooter's bounce. It's now a 2-point game. Yeah, a guy for San Francisco tried to advance on a ball in the dirt. He got thrown out, so we go 2-2 into the 6th. And we're just saying as OKC answers with a 3 of their own. They were just saying on the broadcast of the Rangers-Giants game that they asked Bochy how he's going to get the final, 6-9 out to the game with his bullpen rested. He goes, that's a great question. I guess we'll have to see. So maybe the Giants on a live line is where you jump in here because Texas is really going to have a hard time piecing together these final few innings with the state of their bullpen.
Yep, we're looking at right now, in game right now for the San Francisco Giants, if you want to go in that direction, is minus 180 with a total 7.5.
That's a little much.
Yeah,
that might be a little much.
If you want to lay the 1.5, you can go plus 240.
Nah, tied going into the 6th inning. It's just I don't want to get burned by the hook. The 180s, it's properly priced. Might even be inflated there.
VSiN.com/subscribe. Check it out now, folks. Get in on the summer special, and then you get access to our exclusive betting splits data that is courtesy of both DraftKings and Circa. You can get access to the money and bets, see where they're moving. If you like to use it as part of your handicapping arsenal on a day-to-day basis, the VSiN summer special is where it is at to get you started. Go to VSiN.com/subscribe. Get in on the special. Less than $60 for everything we do through August 1st. It is at VSiN.com/subscribe. 2-run shot for the New York Mets, and they are up 2-0 over the Washington Nationals in that rain-delayed contest. We got 8.5 minutes left to go between OKC and Memphis, and we are approaching tip-off between Clippers and Nuggets. 15 minutes away from tip-off, a little bit more. From tip-off between the Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Clippers, a smattering of 6.5s across the board with a couple of 7s, quite a few 7s out there, total at 211.5. You're just joining us. We are approaching the start of this game, Game 4 between the Nuggets and the Clippers. Los Angeles looking to take a 3-1 series lead into a road game against the Nuggets coming up next week. Now, should note, injury report. Important names to know here. Russell Westbrook will not play today. That foot injury, a little too much. He will not be available. But Michael Porter Jr. with the shoulder is indeed available. He will get the start for the Denver Nuggets today. So with that information out there, should note the line moves. Opened up 5.5. We're up to 6.5. Total open to 13.5. We're down to 211.5. Will, everything now on the table. What are your expectations for Clippers and Nuggets coming up here in a couple of minutes?
A Clippers decisive victory, another Clippers decisive victory. I just don't think Denver, outside of Jokic, has enough. And look, he's Jokic. It's like having Mahomes. That guy's on the court, on the field. There's always a chance. But outside of that, man, it just feels like it's 1-on-5. There's just so many answers. Zubac can give Jokic a hard time, tire him out. Dunn, to me, is a tremendous defensive player. I don't know, like, did he play enough to get Defensive Player of the Year consideration? Because he is that level of defender. Kawhi is Kawhi. Man, there's so much talent on the Clippers. The Nuggets, I didn't think were as good as the Clippers to begin with. Now they're banged up. I think the Clippers win this decisively. I mean, I don't love laying 7. It gets to a point where you missed it, and it's unplayable, but I don't think we're there yet. I still think the Clippers is good, even though you're not getting the best of the number. If I had to take it or lay it, I would lay it. Let me ask you, I'll put it this way, because I think we're pretty lined up on the game, and you can get into your thoughts on it. What number would you need to take on the Nuggets? What number would make you pull the trigger?
7.5, 8.
Okay, so you're almost there.
Yeah, like you're almost there. I laid 5.5 early. I'm with you. Everything you hit on here. Dunn is a great defender to put on Jamal Murray, one of the very few shot creators on this roster, not named Nikola Jokic. They have Kawhi Leonard to defend multiple positions. They have Ivica Zubac, who has statistically been the best defensive option for Nikola Jokic. You're never going to shut him down. They're also playing him really well. Like they're letting him actually. They're kind of allowing him on these pick and pops to be open along the perimeter. They don't want him in that mid-range area of the floor, so they're letting that happen, but closing out on him really well. They're actually big enough, the Clippers are, on the wings with Kawhi, with Batum, that when they do that, where they're just, hey, cut off the rim, don't let them get there, they're actually able to close out really well on him and even put like Kawhi to contest a shot or Batum on him to contest a shot. And you would think, all right, that's a big size mismatch, but sure, when those guys are closing out on him, they're closing out on him on the perimeter. So it's like Jeff Van Gundy's done such a smart job with the way they're scheming up this defense. Porter's injured. If we're right about the potential angle, we'll get to some of the player props here. That's one. We'll put like a half rebounder out there on the floor that really can't do it. It's been a big thing that has actually worked for the Nuggets in terms of the offensive rebounding, but that takes a hit with Russell Westbrook not out there and with Michael Porter Jr. injured. I think when you look at it from the perspective of the Nuggets on defense as well, they don't have anybody for James Harden. I think it's fair to ask this Clippers team to get a win, take a 3-1 series lead, and go out there with a commanding win tonight. Player prop-wise, we hit on this when we talked about the news that Porter would start. His rebound prop at 6.5 with a fair price to the under. I'd be curious to see if that's going to happen. I'll put a small bet on that today to see if that's going to play. Just because, again, you gotta put both hands up there, and if that shoulder's really bothering him, are we going to really see him fight for some contested rebounds, or are you going to save some of your bullets with the bum shoulder for some of those some of these three-point shots that the Nuggets desperately need? Will, like, that's the other part. I've mentioned the math battle that the Magic find themselves in this series with the Celtics. The Nuggets are in a math battle themselves, and you saw that in this last game. I think the Clippers made 11 more three-pointers in Game 3 against them. They're not a high-volume, high-efficiency team like the Clippers are. That's going to be something, too, where you got to save Porter for the ability, because if he can't shoot, now you're really up against it from a three-point shooting standpoint.
Totally agree. Completely agree. I like the Porter under rebounds. I think that's a good look. 1.5 assists, that's one that makes me afraid. I mean, I would only look to the unders because it's an injured player, and there's a chance he goes out there and he gives it the old college try, and then whatever, 8 minutes into the game, he re-aggravates it or somebody bangs him, and then all of a sudden he goes from 50% to 20% and he can't play anymore. So I'd be afraid to play any of his overs. But if there was one over, you figure he could, if he's banged up, he can at least get off some passes and look to defer more. I don't know. It's an interesting handicap, but I think the Nuggets are in some trouble here. Anything first half, first quarter, anything else on this one?
No, not entirely. I mean, look, I think a lot of people, it's so funny how you can evaluate series and in terms of desperation. By the way, Thunder have opened up a 10-point lead here, 102-92, 5:41 left to go in the contest. So we'll see if they can cover that 10.5 that I'm sitting on. There's a lot of different ways to look at it. You can go with the angle of the Nuggets are desperate, they put their best foot forward, but that's going to happen either way. And look, the Clippers, we're still waiting for them to get off to like really strong starts in this series. Right. It hasn't really happened. Remember, in Game 3, they trailed in the first quarter relatively early. I think it was like 20-16 They eventually led 35-28, but they trailed there. In the first quarter of Game 2, they were down 31-25 in that one. And it took them a minute before they opened up a double-digit lead in Game 1 as well. So you do wonder if maybe the Clippers finally get off to a very good start of their own, because the Nuggets have gotten off to some relatively strong starts in this series, and maybe that's the way to look at it, because that has not been the case either for LA. So I would lean toward the Clippers in the first quarter, first half angle, only because I do expect them at home. Like, you're smelling blood in the water if you're LA. Like, again,
sure.
you can not convince yourself, but tell yourself, guys, we could be up 3-0 right now in this series. We are better than them. They are injured. Let's go and kind of put the foot on the throat, if I could spit it out, and get this thing done with a really strong home court.
Also, I mean, we all feel good about the Clippers winning this game, winning this series. If they ever lost this game and Jokic has one of his vintage Jokic performances and they get contributions, however, anyone can win a game pretty much. Then all of a sudden it's 2-2 and your 5 is on the road, 7's on the road. Then all of a sudden you don't feel great about it. So I think the Clippers take care of business, but this is not like some gravy game. I always say this. I always think this. This is a little different because the lower seed's the better team. I think we all agree. But if you're serious, when you're the underdog, when you're the lower seed, if you're serious about winning the series, I feel like you really need to be up 3-1 after 4.
Yes.
Because when you're 2-2 and 5 is on the road, 7's on the road, 2-2 is just not good enough, usually.
Yeah, I would completely agree. Like you said, you fought hard to get home field or home court advantage here. Your goal now, at the very least, would to be end this at home in Game 6. But the reality is, you could go to Denver and win this series too if you're up 3-1. So you would think that that's it. But there's also like that angle of potentially being a pressure situation, having to get this done. Starting lineups have been announced. James Harden, Norm Powell, Chris Dunn, Kawhi Leonard, Ivica Zubac, Jamal Murray, Christian Brown, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic, your same starting 5 that we have seen for both teams throughout this series. You should note the total, down to 211.5. This series so far has been not a slog in terms of pace, but it has been a relatively slow pace. They're both half-court oriented teams. Clippers are an efficient team when you talk about their ability to score in transition, but they're not going to get in transition very often. We saw in garbage time just over 75 possessions in Game 3. In the 2 games in Denver, you were well under 95 possessions, so low-scoring affair, potentially because of pace, but we've seen this total get adjusted here too, so maybe lean toward the over just because of where we're at with this series, but nothing really strong. What do you make of it?
They didn't play anything. It's about right. It's about right. It'd be interesting early to see the pace of this. What do we got? We had two. You said I know we had 2 unders. Oh no, the
first game
1 stay under
yes,
even with overtime.
Yes, because I had that in our contest. I had that over, and that was 224.5 on the close, and I think it ended on 224 in overtime.
Yeah. And that was with a 3 almost at the buzzer. And then even with 0.9 left, they weren't able to get the foul. Usually with 0.9, you get that 1 token foul, but there was enough space between the inbounder, the receiver of the inbounding pass, and the defender where he caught it, and the clock just expired, which affected the total and affected the spread because Denver didn't cover.
No, they did not. Thank you, Norm Powell. That's also worth noting here. Through 3 games, Clippers are 3-0 ATS in this series. We should point that out too. Real quick, let me ask you this in the last minute. Is it as simple as if the Nuggets win this game, we're looking at Jokic props over because he goes nuclear, same potentially with Jamal Murray?
Yes.
I think so, right? Sometimes it is as easy as it looks. Like if you think the Nuggets are going to cover, I think you've got some sort of like pro Jokic props in your pocket.
So, and again, the problem for Denver, and there's plenty of them in this series, you just can't afford to rest him much. You can't win the minutes he's on the bench, so he's playing more. He's getting tired, I think. It's whack-a-mole in terms of the problems. One problem gets solved, it creates another one. I think Denver, it's harsh to say they're drawing dead, but they're really, really up against it in this series.
If you want to bet smarter, not louder, check out the Sharp Plays at sharpplays.com, where real bettors go to get ahead. The Sharp Plays jump on a side, the line reacts every single time. Get insider info, powerful AI tools. You're not guessing, folks, you're getting ahead. Sign up for free betting reports, real-time alerts, next level of intel via email or on X. Go to sharpplays.com. Respected, watched, and feared. It's the sharpplays.com. Why follow the crowd when you could lead it?